Greetings, audience. Let's talk about the rush and the crush.
Before we continue, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to make sure you see more videos just like this one. You can also support the channel on Patreon and be one of these amazing patrons, with a special thank you to my pro patron, Nerf Nothing. And now, back to the video.
The rush was designed by Jay of Flip Flop Foam Factory, with the crush being a remix by Chance. First things first, I have to say that these blasters were sent to me by Foxing Creations, and as such, I will not be able to discuss the printing process or assembly of these blasters. But, with that out of the way, on to the overview. Both of these blasters are 3D printed pump action springers that feature Picatinny stocks. They have Picatinny all along the top, with Picatinny priming blocks connected to a single bar that primes the blaster. They both feature skinny pushers with button mag releases. The Rush takes angled talon mags and has a sling point built into the grip and features a folding stock, while the Crush takes straight talons, has a smooth hollow grip, a quick removable stock, and a quick spring swap system. Both of these blasters can swap barrels fairly easily by unscrewing one M3 screw on either side of the blaster. While the Crush has a quick spring swap system, the Rush is a bit more involved, especially if you have the folding stock instead of the easy removable one. Not a major con, but definitely something worth mentioning. When putting the Rush over the Chronograph, most shots landed between mid 130s to mid 140s, with the numbers being kind of all over the place. The Crush had a similar issue where the numbers were fairly erratic, with most shots being between 170 and 180. Since these blasters were given to me by Foxing Creations, I want to take a moment and discuss their build quality. First, let me just say that both of these blasters are gorgeous and printed very well. I honestly have no complaints on either build, and based off of these builds, I can certainly say that you should check them out. And I'll obviously have links to their store and socials down in the description below. Both these blasters are incredibly light and comfortable to use. The Crush does have a bit smoother of a prime due to the bearings in the priming block. The mag wells are a bit tight, but not so much that I struggle with reloads. And the mag releases are not ambidextrous, which, while not a big con, is definitely disappointing if you're used to being able to release from either side of the blaster. I know I tend to switch back and forth between my right hand from the grip and my left while pulling out the empty mag. I love both of the Picatinny stock options, and I think it'll come down whether or not you want them easily removable or folding. I think I prefer the removable stock, especially when paired with Crush's quick spring swap system. The foldable stock is really cool, but since it doesn't lock into its closed position, it's really only useful as a storage option, as it'll swing back into place if you try to run it with the stock collapse. Also, make sure you watch your fingers while swinging the stock closed. I ended up smashing my finger because I didn't watch where it was when I swung the stock closed. I did notice a couple of slight issues with the Crush's design. First, there's no mag stop if you're reloading with the blaster prime, so you'll have to spend a little bit of extra time adjusting the mag into place. The Crush also holds worker talons a little high, so the pusher catches on the back of the second dart, which could cause jam issues, especially when you're using loaner bin darts. Now, I will say the Crush did not have issues with the coda mags, so if you have a full loadout of codas, this issue won't affect you. Now that we've covered the basics, I have a new grading system similar to my field report for my Let's Talk About videos, where we'll be looking at aesthetics, compatibility, price, and accessibility. I will still touch on their reliability, accuracy, comfort, and fun, but they won't receive their official grades until they've seen some action on the field. Starting with the aesthetics, I can safely say that both blasters have a very nice design language, considering how basic Jay could have gone with the design. I especially love the magwell chamber windows for dart visibility, and I want to give a special shout out to these stock designs. I wasn't a fan of Picatinny stocks at first, but I think these two have really brought me around on the idea. One of the complaints I do have about the aesthetics is the gap in the plunger tube on the Crush, which I think could have easily been covered out with a bit more filament here. But according to Chance, it is for venting, and they didn't have much else space for that, but I do think it does hurt it aesthetically. Especially if you play in an area with lots of dirt, leaves, or turf, which could end up getting into your plunger. The Rush I do have some concerns with. over the comfort of the grip. It's very long in my hand, so it can't quite wrap fully around, which I think does have the potential for affecting its comfort grade when I get to the field report. But despite the complaint over the grip, I think the Rush still deserves an A for aesthetic. However, I can't get over the gap in the back of this plunger tube, and I will have to give the Crush a B because of it, unfortunately. It just really doesn't look good to me. When it comes to compatibility, I will be judging it based off of current hobby standards. Both the Rush and the Crush can take a variety of springs, which is nice for players who like to adjust their plaster for different FPS caps. Obviously, the Crush is much easier to adjust with its quick spring swap system. The Rush is designed to take angled mags, which could be a turnoff for some players who might not have a stash of angled mags. I personally prefer angled mags, but I understand the frustration for players who don't want to have to buy a whole new set of mags just for one blaster. This is where Chance came in and said, make it straight. The Crush is compatible with standard worker straight mags as well as Tachi's, Koda's, and the EZ drum. Due to the current standard in the hobby, I will be giving the Rush a B due to it being limited to angled mags, while the Crush will be taking an A for its very high compatibility across straight mags. When it comes to price, it's an incredibly subjective category. Obviously, different blasters will have wildly different hardware costs, which can't be avoided. There are multiple vendors that offer both hardware and pre-built blasters for the Crush and the Rush. Obviously, there's Fox and Creations, who kindly sent me these two blasters. You can grab pre-built blasters for $140 for the Rush and $160 for the Crush. But if you want to build your own, they have hardware for $40 for the Rush and $60 for the Crush. These prices are incredibly affordable, which was an intentional design by Jay. You can also get a Rush or Crush from both Bears Wares and Foamdemic. Now obviously the Rush is a little bit more expensive due to the additional hardware, like the bearings and the pump grip that give it a bit more of a smoother prime, the amount of durability you get from the use of heat sinks in the blaster which help hold it together, the linear rail. There's a lot of little things that were added to the Crush to kind of improve upon it. So that is why the Crush ends up being a little bit more expensive than the Rush. However, the cost is fairly minimal with, as you saw with the numbers I already pointed out, it's only maybe a $20 difference. So if you really prefer one over the other, it's not a huge price difference, but both of them are incredibly affordable. And with them being so affordable, I have no choice but to give both of these an A for price. Accessibility is a big one that I think most people don't consider during reviews. Is the blaster able to be printed? Is hardware available? Or can they only be attained pre-built or through a lottery system? While I don't hold it against any blaster or creator for their decision based around accessibility, I do think it's important to discuss it when talking about reviews, as I believe it helps with transparency to my audience. That way they know how hard it will be for them to get one for themselves. Obviously, the Crush and the Rush have a variety of options when it comes to buying a pre-built blaster or just acquiring the hardware to print and assemble it yourself. With the Rush and the Crush being open source and having a wide variety of vendors that carry not only pre-built blasters but hardware kits too, obviously they will both be taking an A for accessibility. Overall, I think both of these blasters are great entry points into the 3D printed blaster space. With the priorities of them being light and affordable, I can definitely recommend checking out both blasters for yourself to see if they'll match your playstyle. I'll be sure to have links to everything I've discussed in this video, and let me know what you think about the Rush and the Crush. Which would you choose to run? Are you okay with the angled magwell, or do you absolutely need to have a straight magwell? Definitely keep an eye out in the future for their field reports where we'll be giving them their grades on reliability, accuracy, and comfort. I've been Boomstick, and let's talk some more next time.